Hello, hello. So I am super, super, super excited to have a very special guest with us here today. Haven't done a Faith It Friday in quite a while, but I have been wanting to get this person on with me um, for a number of weeks or months or whatever you want to say. But I'm so excited to have my brother, Ronald Henry, here with us. Of course, I've known him my whole life, but he has a wonderful testimony, one that truly encourages me. So I definitely wanted to bring him on as soon as I could. And this was the first time that it worked out. So I know that it's very powerful and it's going to encourage. And I just want to thank you, Ronnie, for coming on. And definitely want to just turn the floor over to you for the Lord to use you how he sees fit.
Well, thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be on.
Yes.
Finally, we were able to work this out, and I guess we all have testimonies, and it served to encourage one another, and we all have had our experience with God. He indwells all of us, and so we all have had our experiences, uh, and so I believe that as long as we live on this earth and have God within us, then each and every one of us are going to have an experience, a great testimony to tell. And I believe that God will show himself strong in each of our lives. And even though we may go through different things in our lives, he'll still let us know that he's right there with us and that he's working things out for us. And so even through our problems. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, is a specific instance in my life. I've been, the last few years, I've been struggling with some problems in my life, and as far as my health, and it started 11 years ago, and actually, problem with my kidneys, and I do have a kidney disease, and I've been dealing with that for the last 11 years. But it's a specific instance in my life where had been in the hospital. I spent 10 days in the hospital. It's been 10 years now. Almost 10 years now. And I was very, very sick, and had been in intensive care, and it was called neuro intensive care because they were worried about my brain and different things like that. And so I was scheduled. I went into the hospital early on a Monday morning. Early Monday morning. And later on that week, like I said, I spent 10 days, but later on that Friday, I was scheduled to have them do a little surgery and cut into my head. And I was pretty concerned about that. And they said it was just a routine thing, but we know that anytime we have some surgery, there's risk. And so, as we know that, as you all may know, that when you have surgery, the day before surgery, you have to sort of cleanse out your system. You're not supposed to eat or drink. I guess they do that for anesthesia purposes or whatever, so you don't get sick or whatever. And so I did what they said. That Thursday, I don't believe I ate or drank, but they took blood and said that my white blood counts were too high, and so they were not able to do that surgery on that Friday. And so they said they would reschedule it for the next week. And so since they told me that, I started to eat. They brought me breakfast that next morning, the day I was scheduled to have the surgery. And so I went on and ate breakfast, ate a nice big breakfast. Then they came and told me, well, you were supposed to have the surgery. So they had rescheduled. For something happened. They had told me that you were supposed to have the surgery today. And I don't know what happened with my white blood counts, but they said that they have scheduled again. But since I ate, I was they said we had to cancel it again because you've eaten. So we rescheduled it for next Wednesday. And so I stayed in the hospital for those next few days. And so I the day before the nurse practitioner, I believe, she scheduled for me another CT scan to check my brain and everything. And so I was supposed to have that surgery, I believe, on a Wednesday. And so Tuesday I was not eating, and like I said, prepare myself for the surgery. Now I had I'm a minister, and I had a message that I wanted to preach to the church, and my pastor has actually scheduled me to preach that Sunday when I got out of the hospital. And so I was getting ready to call the pastor and said, well, I'm just not going to be able to preach that on this Sunday because I'm scheduled to have this surgery where they cut into my head. And so I'm going to be rehabbing, and I'm going to still be in the hospital. I'm not going to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And so the miracle part about it is how that Tuesday night, the nurse practitioner comes in, sits on the bed and says, guess what you don't need? You don't need this surgery. Mm-hmm. And we were in there just rejoicing because it's something I did not want them cutting in my head. And I did not want to be rehabbing. And so I was just getting ready to call a pastor and say, I can't preach. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be in the hospital. I was supposed to be in rehab trying to learn how to walk again. Mm-hmm. And instead, that Sunday, I was standing up in front of the congregation, preaching the word of God to the congregation. Mm-hmm. And that's how enthused I am. He worked it out. First, he worked it out that I didn't have it in the first place when I was scheduled to have it, and I went on an 8. Now, mm-hmm. if I would have had that surgery, I would end up having something I eventually didn't need. And mm-hmm. so she scheduled, and so she called it came in there, sat on the bed and everything, and called it a miracle. Mm-hmm. But that's just how God worked some things out. So just when I thought I was not going to be able to do what I wanted to do what I thought I was called to do, God made a way for me to preach. So in his timing, if he has a message to be preached, it will be preached. And so, like I said, I was supposed to be in rehab, learning how to walk. And instead I'm preaching the word of God. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much my testimony.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know the part about the learning how, or I may have forgotten when you reminded me the other day about that. And I was like, man, I really didn't realize, how serious it would have been. So I just knew I wanted to bring you on so you can give that, because to me, that's a big deal. Learning to have to do something, and you would have had to learn that unnecessarily had they went and, did the surgery to begin with. So I don't know how that mix up happened, but we know it was God in the mix that made it happen so that, his will could be done. So I thank you for sharing that. I don't want to cut you off. Is there anything else you want to share? You want to encourage the people about anything or anything of that nature?
Well, just like I said, God shows himself strong in our lives, even though we're going through. Mm-hmm. Now, I still have the health issues and everything with the kidneys and everything, but he showed himself strong in that instance. Mm-hmm. So maybe all the time he does not do everything we want him to do, but in our lives, he's going to show himself strong. And so in different instances in my life, we all have prayers and things that we prayed and doesn't seem like he's listening or answering. But then in certain instances, he answers instantly. Mm-hmm. And he shows himself strong. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share.
All right. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you.